The insurance adjuster's scanner painted the basement floor in cold gradients, but one square near the boiler burned bright orange on the screen.
There's a void here, 6 inches of concrete, then empty space, and something metallic.
That's nothing. The foundation settles. There is no vault. You're wasting time.
Open it, Mark. Now.
The adjuster looked at Kevin, then fit the crowbar into the seam. The seal splintered with a shriek. Inside lay stacks of $100 bills, a folded court document, and a small framed photograph, dusty but unburned. Kevin reached in, his soot-stained hand trembling, and lifted the photo free. The man in the image was him, 30 years younger.
For Mary, who waited. He looked up, his voice hollow. Barbara. Who is Mary?
Barbara's face went slack, the denial dying on her lips. She stared at the photo as if it were a ghost. But the vault wasn't empty yet. Beneath the cash, a yellowed court document waited, dated 1988. The adjuster reached into the vault and lifted out the document, its crisp edges cracking despite the decades.
Petition for paternity, Mary versus Kevin Reeves, filed 1988. He read the words as if testing a foreign language.
It was nothing. An old mistake that got settled. You don't need to.
You buried a paternity lawsuit under our boiler and called it nothing?
Barbara opened her mouth, but no sound came. The silence was heavier than any excuse.
Why was it locked away? Who is Mary? And why is my picture in there with her name on it? We are not done. Not close.
He climbed the stairs without looking back, the items from the vault pressed against his chest.
I'll finish the assessment later. Give you some time.
Kevin stood in the ruined kitchen and unfolded the document again. The case had been settled, but he'd never signed his name. In the temporary apartment, Kevin spread the vault items across the motel desk. The handwriting on the photo stared back at him, completely unfamiliar.
This isn't my writing. The loops are all wrong, and the slant is too aggressive.
He searched the case online. Paternity suit, settled for $15,000, sealed by a motion Barbara had filed herself. He dialed the law firm's number from his truck. The receptionist's voice was tinny. The receptionist said Barbara Reeves retained the attorney. She signed his name on every paper. That evening, Kevin found Barbara in the tiny temporary kitchen, her shoulders tense.
You forged my signature. You hid a paternity suit and kept my own child from me. Why, Barbara?
I was terrified you'd leave. Mary said the baby was yours. I paid her to go away and stay silent.
I'm going to find my daughter. Nothing you say now will stop me.
He walked out, climbed into his truck, and stared at the photo. The search for his unknown child had begun. Kevin hired a private investigator. Within 3 days, the man handed him a name and a phone number. Margaret, a teacher in Pittsburgh. He stared at the number on his phone screen, thumb hovering. The silence of the truck pressed against his ears. He dialed. Each ring was a pulse in his throat. Then a click, and a woman's voice, uncertain.
Hello.
Margaret, my name is Kevin Reeves. I know this sounds impossible, but I believe I'm your biological father.
My mother said my father died before I was born. Who are you really?
I only found out last week. My wife hid everything. I have a photo from a vault signed to Mary. Please, would you take a DNA test?
A long silence stretched. Then Margaret exhaled, the sound heavy with disbelief.
I'll do the test. I need to know. But if this isn't true, please don't call again.
Kevin agreed, and the line went dead. He sat motionless, the weight of an unknown daughter settling into his bones. The DNA kits arrived. Kevin swabbed his cheek, sealed the envelope, and mailed it before doubt could paralyze him again. While waiting, he typed Mary's name into a search engine. The first result was an obituary. She had died 4 years ago. She was survived by a daughter, Margaret, the same name the investigator had found. The proof crushed him. He could never meet Mary, never explain.
She waited for a man who never came because he never knew, and now she's gone.
Barbara phoned repeatedly. Each time, Kevin silenced the call without looking at the screen. Day after day, he sat in the motel room, the framed photo on the desk, the court document beside it, and the walls closing in.
36 years. That vault held my daughter longer than I ever held her.
On the 5th day, his phone rang. The caller ID was the lab. He answered before the second ring. A flat, professional voice said the results were ready and would be released by email. Kevin's hand tightened on the phone. He ended the call and stared at the photo of his younger self. The wait was over, but the truth was still locked behind a screen. Kevin opened the email. The subject line blurred for a second. Then his eyes landed on the number. 99.99% probability of paternity.
It's true. I have a daughter. My wife stole her from me for 36 years.
With shaking hands, he dialed Margaret. She answered before the second ring.
The result is in. 99.99%. You're my daughter, Margaret.
Oh, God. Her voice broke into a sob. I didn't dare believe it. All these years, I thought my father didn't want me.
Can we meet? I need to see you. I need to start making up for lost time.
Yes? There's a coffee shop near my school. Saturday morning, I'll text the address.
Kevin hung up, the weight of the confirmation settling into his chest. Then he searched for a divorce attorney.
Barbara built a vault to keep me from her. I'll tear down every wall she ever put up.
He wrote an email to the attorney, attaching the DNA results and the court records from the vault. The legal gears began to turn. The coffee shop was quiet, morning light slicing through the windows. Kevin saw her first, a woman with her mother's jaw, sitting alone.
I've imagined this for a week. Now I don't know where to start.
I brought something. She slid a worn photograph across the table. Her mother, Mary, smiling in her 30s.
Kevin stared at the image, his throat tight. She never contacted me. I never knew.
She never told me his name, just that my father was a good man who died young. I think she was protecting him. You, from something?
My wife buried the lawsuit in a vault under our boiler. I just found out. I'm so sorry, Margaret.
Margaret reached across the table and took his hand. Neither spoke for a long moment.
I've wondered my whole life. Now you're here. Let's not waste more time. Can we meet again?
Kevin nodded, a tear cutting through the soot still on his cheek. I'd like that more than anything.
They stood to leave, but the distance between them had narrowed. The vault's secret had led him to this table, and now to a doorstep he'd never known existed. Kevin found Barbara in the kitchen of their temporary rental, the DNA report in his hand. She didn't turn around.
I met her. Margaret is 37, a teacher, and she was told her father died. She never knew.
I panicked. I paid Mary every year to stay away. I thought if you knew, you'd leave. I forged your name. I thought if you never found out, we'd stay whole.
You stole my daughter from me and a father from her. We're finished, Barbara.
He walked out, her sobs trailing him. The truck door cracked shut like a final sentence. That night, Kevin finalized the divorce petition and drafted a criminal complaint for forgery and fraud. He attached the vault court documents, the DNA result, and the photo inscription as evidence, then pressed send. For the first time since the fire, the weight in his chest felt like purpose instead of ruin. The marriage was dead. The law would handle the rest. His daughter was waiting. Kevin met with his attorney in a quiet office, the divorce papers already filed. The lawyer spread the criminal complaint across the desk. The lawyer said Barbara had hired counsel and was contesting, but the forged signatures and vault records made her case nearly impossible.
38 years of marriage, and she spent half of it lying to my face.
That afternoon, Kevin met Margaret at the same coffee shop. She was already there, a thick envelope on the table.
I read through the case file you sent. What she did. I can't imagine betraying someone like that.
He lifted the framed photo from his bag. This was in the vault, signed for Mary who waited. She waited for me, and I never came.
Margaret reached over and squeezed his hand, her own eyes wet.
She slid a childhood photograph across the table. I want you in my life, Kevin, but promise me you won't disappear again.
I'm not going anywhere. You're my daughter, and I've missed too much already.
After they parted, Kevin pulled out his phone and saved her number under daughter. The legal fight was far from over, but the vault's secret no longer felt like a wound. Kevin testified at the courthouse, the vault photo and document exhibited. The detective received the evidence without comment. Barbara was formally charged with mail fraud and unauthorized practice of law. She left the courthouse, her expression hollow. Later that day, Kevin met Margaret at their usual coffee shop. He placed the framed photo on the table, face down.
Turn it over. Read the words on the back.
For Mary, who waited. Her voice broke. She waited for you. My whole life she never stopped. She showed him an old photo of Mary. She never told me, but I think she hoped you'd come.
Kevin stared at the two faces. Young and gone. I would have come. I would have raised you.
Margaret pulled him into a hug, the photo of Mary pressed between them. Neither spoke.
She whispered. She waited for you, and now I have you. That's enough.
The vault's secret had spoken, not through its steel, but through a daughter's forgiveness. A week later, Kevin met Margaret and Emily at a park. The girl ran to the swings, and Margaret squeezed his arm.
Emily, this is Kevin, our family friend. He wanted to meet you.
I brought you a little something. He handed her a charm bracelet. Emily's face lit up.
She slipped it on and ran to the slide, her ponytail bouncing. Kevin felt the ache of every missed birthday.
Later, Margaret walked with Kevin behind the bench. She's curious. I told her you're her grandfather.
He stopped, his voice rough. I've missed so much. I want to be a real grandfather starting now.
Margaret took his hand. You already are. She just needed a chance to meet you. That evening, Emily drew a picture of 3 stick figures and wrote Grandpa over the tallest one. Kevin drove back to his motel, the bracelet box now empty on the passenger seat, but his hand still holding the photo from the vault. He saved a new contact, Emily, and beside it, a photograph of a drawing taped to his dashboard. Kevin's lawyer warned that a trial could stretch for months and expose Margaret to brutal cross-examination.
Draw up a deal. Uncontested divorce, guilty plea to reduced charges, no prison. She stays away from us forever.
2 days later, the offer reached Barbara through her attorney. She read it in the cramped temporary kitchen and didn't speak. She signed the papers without argument, the suitcase already half-packed behind her. Kevin received the finalized divorce decree by courier. He stood by his truck and read it twice, feeling nothing then a strange lightness.
38 years, gone with a signature. But the vault is empty now.
He dialed Margaret from the truck, the engine off, the silence heavy.
It's done. The divorce is final. She took the deal. No trial.
Are you okay?
Kevin glanced at the vault photo resting on the passenger seat. I am now. The judge gave Barbara 2 years probation, no prison. Kevin sat in the back row and felt nothing. He left before the hearing ended, the courthouse doors closing behind him without a sound. He drove to the burned lot. The foundation was a black scar, the vault hole a dark square in the concrete.
For 3 decades, that hole held a daughter I didn't know.
He stood there until his phone buzzed. The screen read Margaret. He answered.
Kevin, Emily's birthday is Saturday. She wants her grandpa there. Will you come?
Kevin smiled. The first real smile since the fire.
I wouldn't miss it.
The vault's secret had given him a daughter. Now it was giving him a birthday party. He hung up and glanced in the rearview mirror. The vault hole was still there, but the hole in his life was starting to fill. Kevin bought a charm bracelet and drove to Margaret's house, the paper bag soft on the passenger seat.
She opened the door with a smile. Kevin, I'm so glad you're here.
Inside, the living room was full of balloons and laughter. Kevin lingered near the kitchen, feeling out of place. Then he spotted a small framed photo of Mary on a bookshelf. He paused, looking at her face.
I never knew you. but thank you for giving me her.
Emily ran over, tugging his hand. Grandpa, come see the cake.
He handed her the gift. She tore the paper and lifted out the bracelet, the same one but with a new heart charm.
It's beautiful, thank you, Grandpa. She threw her arms around his neck.
Kevin's eyes burned. He held the embrace longer than he meant to. Over the party noise, he felt something he hadn't in decades. Home. Margaret caught Kevin's arm and pulled him into the quiet hallway, away from the party noise. Her eyes were damp.
Thank you for coming, for everything. I never thought I'd have a father at my daughter's birthday.
Kevin reached into his jacket and pulled out the framed photo from the vault. He held it out to her.
This brought me to you. I want you to have it now.
Margaret took it and flipped it over. For Mary, who waited. She read it aloud, her voice breaking.
This means she never gave up. And now it's not a secret anymore. It's proof you came back.
She pressed the frame to her heart, and Kevin wrapped his arms around her, the way he should have 37 years ago.
He whispered, I'll spend the rest of my life being here. No more missing anything.
Later, before the cake, Margaret placed the vault photo next to Mary's picture on the shelf. Two faces, now forever connected. Kevin watched from across the room, the weight of his old life replaced by the sound of his granddaughter laughing. Kevin returned to his one-room apartment after the party, the gift bag empty, his chest full. He placed a new photograph on the desk, Margaret and Emily waving at the camera, taken just before he left. Then he opened his phone to the image of the inscription, for Mary, who waited. He read it aloud in the silence.
She waited 36 years. I never knew, and now I can never tell her I'm sorry.
He pulled out the worn photograph of Mary that Margaret had given him. Her eyes held no blame. The vault's secret had been answered, but a debt remained to the woman who gave him a daughter without asking for anything. He made a decision, then wrote it in his journal. Tomorrow I'll visit Mary's grave, tell her about Margaret. He'd leave a copy of the vault photo and a letter of thanks. The image of his younger self stared back, now a bridge, not a wound. The lamp cast long shadows, but the path forward was no longer buried under concrete. He set the two photographs side by side, young Kevin and Mary, now beside Margaret and Emily, and turned off the light. The cemetery was quiet under a gray sky. Kevin found Mary's headstone easily. He knelt and placed the small bouquet of white roses against the granite. He pulled the photocopy of the vault photo from his jacket and leaned it against the stone, the younger face smiling next to her name.
Mary, I'm so sorry you waited. I would have come if I'd known. She's a teacher. She has your eyes and your laugh, and a daughter, Emily, who just turned 10. I'll take care of them. I'll never let them disappear from my life again.
He left the photocopy of the vault photo on the gravestone, the younger face smiling next to her name. When he stood, the weight that had settled on his chest since the fire had lifted. The quiet no longer pressed. It opened.
The vault started as a secret. It ended as a gift.
That evening, he wrote a single word in his journal, forgiven. Then he closed the cover. He didn't need the photo anymore. The faces had moved from the vault into his heart, where no fire could reach them. Kevin arrived early at the school auditorium. Margaret was already in the third row, a seat saved beside her.
I have something for you. He slid a small velvet box into her hand, out of sight.
She opened it to a gold locket, its chain fine and cool. Inside was a miniature of the vault photo, his young face smiling up at her. Margaret's eyes filled. She fastened the locket and turned to hug him tightly, the chain pressing between them. The play began. Kevin watched the little characters on stage, but his eyes kept drifting to Emily in the chorus.
After the final bow, Emily broke from the line and ran toward them. Grandpa, she shouted, arms open.
Kevin caught her and lifted her into his arms. The audience applauded, but he heard only her laugh. His eyes burned, but this time the tears were light. In a folding chair, he had become a grandfather. That evening, he saved a new contact photo of Emily in her costume, next to Margaret's smiling face. By the following autumn, Kevin's pickup was a regular sight in the school dismissal line. Emily ran to him every afternoon. He'd bring her to his small apartment, where a child's apron now hung on a hook. Together, they measured flour for cookies. After dinner, he'd tuck her into bed, and they'd read a chapter from a book Margaret gave him. On quiet evenings, he'd sit on the park bench where they'd first met, now watching Emily on the swings, a grandfather's piece in his chest. One afternoon, he pulled out his phone and stared at the wallpaper. The three of them at the park, taken on a Sunday they'd spent together.
The fire took my house. It gave me a family.
That evening, he opened his journal and wrote a note to Mary. "Thank you for waiting. Our daughter is safe. Our granddaughter laughs like you." He closed the journal and looked at the phone again, where Margaret's contact photo and Emily's school play picture now lived side by side. Outside his window, the street was quiet. The vault was gone. But the names it had hidden were now written across his life. He set a small framed photo of Margaret and Emily on the shelf beside the old photo of Mary, then turned off the lamp. The letter arrived on a Tuesday, Barbara's handwriting on the envelope. Kevin held it for a long minute without opening.
She wants forgiveness, but I can't give her that.
He placed the unopened envelope on his desk, then pulled out a fresh sheet of paper. He began, "Dear Mary." He wrote about Emily's school play, about Margaret's laugh, about the cookies, and about the photo finally being where it belonged. The next morning, he drove to the cemetery, the letter folded in his jacket. The same gray silence greeted him. He knelt at Mary's headstone and dug a small hole with his hands, burying the letter beside the photocopy of the vault photo.
I told you about them. Now you know.
He stood, his knees cold, but his heart warm. He didn't need to forgive Barbara. That chapter was closed. He walked back to his truck, the cemetery quiet behind him. The vault's secret was now only a story, finished and forgiven. That evening, he looked at the framed photo of Margaret and Emily, and next to it, the old photo of Mary. All of them, together, where no fire could ever reach. 6 months later, Kevin sat at Margaret's kitchen table, a math worksheet between him and Emily. Margaret watched from the counter, smiling. Later, they walked the neighborhood while Emily rode ahead on her bike. Margaret slipped her arm through Kevin's.
I never had a father who showed up. Now I do. Thank you for being that.
I'm the one who's grateful. You let me in after 37 years. That's no small thing.
When they returned, Emily ran up with a crayon drawing. Across the top, she'd written "My grandpa and me." Kevin knelt and took it like a fragile document. His voice was thick.
This is going on my wall, right where I can see it every morning.
Later that night, he hung the drawing in his small apartment, next to the photo of Margaret and Emily. The three photos now formed a quiet triangle. Mary, Margaret, and Emily, and the child's drawing. The past, the present, the promise. He stepped back, his shadow stretching across the floor. The vault was gone. The fire was gone. But the family was right here. The sunset through his window was quiet. The sky the color of the fire that started everything. On his desk, the old framed photo and the new one stood together, a record of before and after. He lifted the frame, his fingers finding the inscription on the back without looking. For Mary, who waited. The ink was fading, but the words had finally found their answer.
I waited, too, for a daughter I never knew I had.
He set it down beside the smiling faces of Margaret and Emily. Then he picked up his keys, the little charm from Emily's bracelet jingling on the ring. At the door, he looked back at the wall. The past, the discovery, the gift. He stepped outside and walked toward his truck, the evening sun warm on his back. The vault was empty. The wait was over. He was going home to his daughter and granddaughter.